start advertising. The customers who've switched, oh, I remember them, and will move back. And the ones that shout last tend to be the ones that keep the customers. So if your competitors starting a big campaign, slow down yours a bit and wait for them to finish before you start hitting them back. How active is their activity? Do they do it in slugs, or do they do it all the time? Where do they advertise? Where do they promote? If they're promoting in one magazine, you should be looking at another one. Don't compete head to head with them. It's very easy to get sucked into the Gazette rings you up, the Chronicle rings you up, the Journal rings you up and say, we're doing this big promotional campaign. And, oh yeah, I'll do it for 500 quid. Well, you're there with all your other competitors. And all you've done is all wasted a lot of money. What you should be doing is saying, when's that campaign come out? Oh, I'm not really interested in that. What we'll do is we'll do a couple of days later. Or a couple of days before. Or something. So you're doing it at a different time. Do they go to exhibitions? Do you go to exhibitions? Exhibitions have seemed to have lost their way a bit. People don't have the time to do it as much as they used to. When I used to do a lot of exhibitions, the organisers always used to send me loads of invites to send out to your customers. Do you send them out to your customers? You do? You never send them out to your customers. Because when you send an invite out to your customers to come to an exhibition, it's, here's an opportunity to see my competitors. I'm in the business of going to an exhibition to find new customers, not give my customers to somebody else. So never ever, I mean, if there's any exhibition organisers here that will hate me for saying it, but never ever do that. Yeah, that's their job to get the customers in, not yours. And if you're sending out invitations to your customers, you're just giving them an open opportunity to meet your competitors. So don't do that. What's their key message? What's their unique selling proposition, unique buying proposition? What do they think is important? Does that match what you think is important? It probably won't. They'll generally be competing in a different way. What kind of organisation are they? Do you think your organisation is fairly, tight and everything goes right? Obviously not. Most organisations don't. Well, theirs will be the same. They will have similar kinds of problems, hopefully. But generally what happens is most companies let people down in customer service in some way. What you need to find out is what your competitors normally let people down on. And it's fairly easy to find that out. How do you find it out?
Try them out as a customer.
Well, you can try them out as a customer, so you can actually try and buy from them, and go through the, ring them up and try and find some information out, which normally, you do it to yourself as well, because, it can open a can of worms. I was once at a CIM do, and the chap was telling me a story about we'd gone to see a stationery company, and he was sat in reception for about 10 minutes. Is anyone in stationery? No, hi. He was sat in reception for about 10 minutes, and the receptionist was saying, when people were ringing up about an order, are you chasing or placing? And when the marketing manager came down, he said, just listen to what she's saying. And she's saying, are you chasing or placing? And the marketing manager said, what's wrong with that? And he said, well, a new customer ringing up, the first thing that the receptionist is saying is, are you chasing an order? Are you progressing an order? Which says to you, your customers, we let people down. And it's things like that which can actually set the wrong tone throughout your organisation. So ring yourself up and find out how. The one time I got an urgent, in the days before mobile phones, I got a page saying, ring the office urgently. So I found the phone box, and the phone rang from 4:05 to 5:25 with to the reception. And I said, where were you? She said, I was doing the post. For half an hour, nobody was answering the telephone in our business. What happened to the customer room? And these things happen in the best run companies. So look at their processes, look at your processes, and where they're weak, that's where you've got to exploit. And where you're weak, you've got to strengthen. How many people do they employ? Have they attracted people from you? Are some of them your ex-staff? Yes?
That's happened quite a lot, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because if they're your ex-staff, what are they saying about you? And the reality is what they're saying, even subconsciously in the mind of the customer, is these must be better because they're working for these now instead of them. Now, I'm not saying you go around saying, oh, they're working for them because they're crap and we sack them. But you need to be able to counteract that message, because that person will be telling them all the bad things about you. They won't be telling you the good, they'll be telling people the good things about you, will they? And how do their premises compare? It's one of those things we don't really think about, but if we have a crack office and customers come there, if they go into this really swish place, they're going to think, oh, they're better. And I'm not saying move if you're in a poor part of the country or so, but seriously look at redecorating perhaps. It doesn't cost that much, or if it improves the look of your place. And I know this is a bad time to be talking about spending money, but if it's a chance of actually getting extra income, it'd probably be worth it. What are their strengths and weaknesses? Now, this is where your opportunity to sort of write down some strengths and weaknesses of your competitors. Now, Philip Kotler, a really good marketer, says we shouldn't be calling it a SWOT analysis anymore. He says we should be calling it a TOES analysis, which is SWOT backwards. Think about when you do a SWOT analysis. What's this SW part? Strengths and weaknesses. So that's your organisation, okay? And the opportunities and threats is outside. Which is the thing that's going to cripple your business? How good you are at something or a threat. Okay, so you should start with the threats. Because when you're doing strengths, oh yeah, lots of strengths, really enthusiastic. Less enthusiastic when you get to weaknesses, bit enthusiastic when you get to opportunities, and you're sick of it by the time you get to threats. So concentrate on the threats. So, for those 4 customers that you wrote down, what are the big threats from them? Does anyone know what they are? Hopefully you've all got competitors. Okay, does anyone want to share a threat?
Their market size are bigger.
They're bigger than you. Mm-hmm. Okay. I was hoping that somebody would say, spookily, and they're not planted, they're bigger than us, or they've got more money to spend. Okay? They're bigger than us. What's the counteraction to they're bigger than us?
We're small and flexible.
We're small and flexible. So if they're bigger than you, your strength to compete with that is that although we're smaller, we're flexible. We can react quicker. We can respond to what you need quicker. We will do exactly what you want rather than you having to compromise. Yeah, rather than having to compromise, we'll do exactly what you do. And we'll be there to hold your hand 24 hours a day, which they won't be. Okay? And if they've got a bigger budget, so what? They're probably wasting most of it anyway. And that's the reality is, if you've got a small budget, what you've got to do is you've got to spend it more wisely and target very specific sectors of the market. The best marketing campaign you can ever do is send them a postcard with a picture on the front of something. Doesn't really matter what it is. It needs to be relevant to what you're doing. We did some workshops for Food Northwest, and we sent them to small rural food businesses. And we had a marketing budget of £500, not a lot of money. And we had to get to 1,000 people with that £500. And so what we did, we sent those 1,000 people a picture of a strawberry, and underneath it said "Jam tomorrow." And on the back it said about these workshops that we were running. And within 2 days of sending out those postcards, we filled all the spaces on those workshops. Because People read postcards.